Hi guys, Top here with a quick mechanics video about structured PvP in Guild Wars 2. Today I'm going to be talking about the primary mechanic in structured PvP, control points. All the current sPvP maps focus around 3 primary control points that you need to take and hold to gain the majority of your points. So it's really intuitive that you take these nodes by just standing in the control points here, but one thing I noticed a lot in my time playing was that especially at the beginning of a match, there'd be whole groups of players just sitting in the node capping them. So let's take a look at how long it takes to cap a node. I'm going to show you 3 views here. The top left view is just me capping the clock tower node on my own. The bottom left one has me joining an ally at the henge just after she starts capping it, so there's 2 of us there. And the bottom right one has me and 2 allies capping after a fight, and one of them leaves a bit into the clip and the other one's sort of coming in and out of the node. So as you can see, there doesn't seem to be a significant difference between all 3 situations. In all 3 cases, it takes about 13 seconds to take the node from fully neutralized to fully captured. And what this means is that, especially in cases where there's no enemies around, there's little to no reason at all to just stack on a node. You really need to just start heading to where you're needed. Okay, so how about attacking a node that's already controlled by the enemy or defending a node that's being attacked? Let's take a look at this clip of me solo neutralizing a node first. You can actually see that it takes me just about 4.5 seconds from when I first enter the capture point to when it's neutralized. This is key because that's about 1/3 the time that it took to take it from a neutralized state to a captured state. This difference between how long it takes to neutralize a node and how long it takes to actually capture it makes a big difference in how you need to play both offensively and defensively, since it's so easy to stop your enemy from getting points from a node, but it's pretty hard to start getting points from a node afterward. Well, let's take a look at this. Now I've just neutralized and captured the windmill here, and this ranger approaches me. Now the windmill node is closer to the red team spawn area than the blue team spawn area, so I usually try pretty hard to keep it once we do get it, because otherwise it's sort of a pain. So I'm really focused on trying to stay inside of the control point here. Now note that whenever an enemy player is inside the control point, the icon for the point at the top gets these little axes that show that it's under attack. However, since most of this fight, both me and the ranger are inside of the node, the control bar doesn't actually shift at all while we're both inside of it. Now, my play here isn't actually that ideal. I'm trying to apply my conditions to steadily wear away at his health while controlling his movement with my utilities, but I still wasn't that comfortable with the engineer at the time that I filmed this. So up to this point, the fight's actually been proceeding pretty evenly. I've been doing a pretty good job of controlling him, but since I was so focused on staying inside the control node, he was doing a ton of damage to me. He actually gets me really low there. I almost die, but I actually did back out of the control node at that point. And so you can see here that if you're really trying to stay inside of the control point and you're not playing like almost perfectly, it's pretty easy to, have a pretty big disadvantage. You're stuck inside of that little area where they're free to move around, and you only have 4 seconds outside of the node before they actually can neutralize it. So sometimes you just need to back out. Okay, so now we know the basic gist of capture point mechanics. First of all, capture points aren't captured faster with multiple players from the same team inside of the point. Second, capture points are neutralized about 1/3 the time that it takes to fully capture them, and this makes them much more easily attacked and hard to defend if you're not focused. And finally, if there are any number of players from both teams inside of a capture point, it doesn't actually capture either way. So one really tough to control or kill player can prevent or at least delay a bunch of enemy players from capping. Now let's briefly look at some strategies that emerge as a result of those mechanics. The next couple clips are from the recent Stress Test beta, where I was playing as a thief in PvP for the first time. The basic idea of my build was to create an incredibly mobile and hard to kill player to quickly move about the map to A, back capture nodes, and B, hold off or delay superior numbers of enemies while my team took the rest of the map. Right off the gate, I'd take advantage of my team's swiftness buffs and my own swiftness on dodge trait to get quickly all the way over to the mansion node, which is usually closer to the blue team spawn. Now, I don't know if they were just organized or what, but I actually managed to get there before their team does, so that's pretty good. So this thief is attacking me here, and I drop my poison nova as he steals to get him in there. And you can see that my arrows are bouncing around and poisoning him. He is trying to use Heartseeker now, which is a really damaging attack normally, but I'm at high health, so he's being sort of stupid when he's using it. I immediately counter by using my headshot to daze him, and then the blinding shot there to also neutralize his second Heartseeker there. So he's wasted a lot of initiative, and I'm at a pretty good advantage here. I use my pistol whip to stun him, and he actually uses his shadow step to get out. Now what I do right here is I notice, okay, he's outside the node, I have it almost captured, so I'm going to use my heal to stealth and switch to my short bow and use immobilize, and that roots him outside, so hey, look, I can finish capturing this node and he can't do anything. So I'm going up the ramp to the clock tower because it's been under attack, and I notice, okay, we're outnumbered here. There's 4 or 5 of them to only 3 of us, so I immediately start using my headshot and my stunning abilities to try and control one of the other enemies. And then right here I actually screwed up, so I used both of my stealthing skills, which was sort of a waste anyway, but I wanted to save this Guardian, so I used my AoE stealth to stealth him too, but look at what's happening here. We're both stealth, we're inside of the node, but that actually isn't counting for us to hold the node because we're stealthed. So in these couple seconds that we're both stealthed inside of this node, we actually almost lose it. That's one thing to be careful of if you're playing a thief. You know, you don't actually count as if you're in the node if you're stealth. But we do manage here to, you know, the stealth, I guess, confuses a couple of the opponents and they just run off or something. And we're able to just steadily kill these guys as, you know, the other people are coming back up. And we get some reinforcements, so we're fine here. Okay, so let's talk pretty briefly about some other ideas that I have for strategies based on the control points. One thing that you could do is to have area denial from the AoE indicators. So, you know, whenever you have an enemy AoE come up, you see that it has a little red circle and you're like, okay, you learn pretty quickly I shouldn't stand in red circles. But regardless of how damaging the AoE is, they all show up as these red circles. So that means it's something like a support spec elementalist that actually doesn't have very much power, so their AoE attacks aren't doing very much damage, can still psych out your opponents by getting them to get out of a control point or get out of the area with things like meter storms, because all they see is, you know, oh, fire from above and red circle, I don't want to stand here. And, you know, even if it actually wouldn't hurt them that much, you can actually psych them out. Now this will work at least until players get a feel for how you're spec'd and geared, and, you know, they realize, oh, okay, it's not actually hurting, I can stand here. But it'll work especially well right now while they're all afraid of these glass cannon elementalists that drop these ridiculous damaging Dragon's Tooth and Phoenix AoEs. So for now it'll work pretty well. Another idea that I had is to use a stability boon in an area to prevent yourself from being controlled and actually hold the node a little bit more effectively. I tried to play around with this a lot on my engineer via the Juggernaut trait to give myself stability. I think use of stability is going to be one of those high skill required things that players will delve into a couple months after release once they get over the general mechanics of the game and fine-tune counters to opponents. And the last thing I wanted to mention is Guardians. Now, Guardians are sort of silly in their defensive capability. They're, with all of their knockbacks and ability to just plant themselves on a node. A really skilled Guardian, defensive Guardian, can be such a pain to fight, especially if you're tunnel visioning on trying to kill them. So keep in mind how not mobile they are, and consider just going to another node and leaving the Guardian behind, or back-capping once they leave to get back up to you. If you do want to actually control them, you're going to need to use knockbacks, you're going to need to use mobilizes and other controlling effects like stuns to keep them out of the node for at least those 4.5 seconds to neutralize. And then once it's neutralized, you're on an even ground because it's no longer them outlasting you. They aren't going to be able to capture it from you once it's neutralized because they can't kill you either. Thanks for watching the video. Let me know what you think and subscribe if you like the content. Next beta weekend starts tomorrow, so I'll be trying to get a lot of media recorded so that I can release content more regularly. I'm going to be aiming for a high quality video per week, so stay tuned. Thanks again, see you guys soon.